So Kev,
Adam, it's
fuck
been so
this week,
long.
man.
Oh,
This
we're not
week-
not going to acknowledge that we just recorded a 2-hour episode that got screwed up. So now we got to record another short episode right now to make sure it doesn't now.
It's not even like it got screwed up. Let's be very clear here. It started off bad. He had a pretty good stride, I think, in the middle.
Oh,
a little
the
rambly.
Middle. Oh, the middle was so nice.
It's always the middle, though. We always hit that sweet spot. And then we got even worse towards the end because we started to lose steam.
And some other
I'm not about to edit that. I'm not about to make that better. Neither of us are going to do that shit. So we're going to sit here and do a quick 20-minute episode and post this instead.
Let's hit real quick. Let's try to remember the good stuff that we said. Caleb, the middle field accuracy has been bad in the last 2 weeks. It was good for a while there. We are getting very frustrated by the usage of the personnel. I think is an important thing that we said from the last episode that we should talk about again.
I also think we need to talk about the fact that the defenses that he's faced have shown him different things versus the two vanilla defenses he faced during the time they looked really good, and that might lead to some happy feet and not great mechanics because he's double clutching and second guessing what he's doing. So those are things that I would like to touch on with Caleb. Personnel usage, obviously, with Waldron. Offensive line, it's what it is. I don't care to talk about that one again. Like, at this point, everyone knows what's going on. And we should also touch on the defense and how we feel about how overblown some things might be.
Boy, 20 minutes is optimistic. Let's hit
all this real quick. So let's start off with the offense,
because we're going to repeat the same things that we've already repeated to ourselves. We both got frustrated during the last game, and we turned it off basically early third quarter. I put mine on the lower TV. I was still monitoring what was going on. You have watched your quarterback breakdowns, so you've seen some plays from later in the game. We're not completely uninformed, but we are Bears fans, and we know this is not a very popular podcast, and we don't really care if we let our listeners down by not having watched the entire game, because the game stunk, man. It just stunk. It happens, and
honestly, it's not even that. Like, so much of the stuff that anyone can talk about from the game and coming into this with that is going to be things that are going to be repeated elsewhere. At this point, with what happened with that game, it's the same issues, right, that we're seeing crop up over and over. Even if we didn't get to watch the second half of that game, and we know what happened. We know that Caleb was in there, for instance, towards the end, and tweaked his ankle quickly. Thankfully, he's okay, and people are upset based off the fact that he was still in there, right? And should he have still been in there? It's not like we're completely oblivious of what happened, but let's be honest here. Like, a lot of the things that we can say about just that game specifically are going to be things that we've repeated previously, except for like some of the trends, right? So let's get into that. Let's talk a little bit about Caleb and the things that are concerning us at this point.
Yeah.
Do we want to preface this with the fact that
this is so weird? I just said all this stuff.
I know. This is odd, guys.
It felt finer. It felt finer when I suggested that we just go really quick, but now it's like, man. Also, the last time I said this, I had 2 fewer beers than I've had now.
And also, it feels really weird being like, hey, we all just recorded this. Here's our outline. Now let's go, instead of making it natural. But hey, let's make it a little bit more natural. Let's talk a little bit about
Adam, how was Europe, baby?
Oh, that's how let's go back 2 weeks.
When we're not on the pod, I call him baby.
Yep. It's my little sugar honey. Let's actually, you know what? Let's revisit a couple of the plays we revisited, and we can get into it naturally there. So we were talking during the last recording. Oh my god, this is now becoming even more less unnatural.
We had the play recording that nobody's listened to.
Yeah, there's a play that everyone's complaining about in which basically Caleb's late to throw it to Keenan. You have Rome running a what's a fade, Keenan running a seam or a skinny post. I think I didn't remember it perfectly. And then
I've insisted on skinny post.
I think it is a skinny post. And Komet running a hank. And essentially
Do
what
you want to
happens is
do you want to diagram the play with our hands again, like we did the
I am.
last time?
Oh, oh, there
All
you
right,
go. Yeah.
that'd be a lot
Anyway,
more fun for people that were,
so a lot of
it
people
was
are
fun for
upset
us. Don't worry.
because he didn't take a profit, throw it to Komet. Why did he throw that ball to Keenan Allen? That's a right read, I think is what we both agreed on. And there's a little bit of being overblown when it comes to a couple of the decisions that Caleb's made. There are times where it's
Yeah,
like, yeah, take the check down. I think there was one where DeAndre Swift was like basically right there. He's holding on to the ball forever. He's at a point where he's through
yeah,
his
take it.
progressions trying to create, take it. But if the read is open, you don't pass it.
Particularly, and here's a new one from not on the last episode. When the blitz is coming, you don't have time for this shit. Get to your check down. It's there. You see it. Get it there.
There's actually one. There's another Hank that I hook route essentially, right? A middle sit for Komet. There's another play where he has that same route, essentially a little bit deeper, I believe, on this one. Where there's a blitz and he's wide open. He's wide ass open. Take
Yeah.
that.
Take
You're
that.
hot. Take it. It's right there in front of
Um,
you. And so you got to recognize that you're hot. You got to recognize where your hot is. But coming back to the first one, there's a lot of complaints about Caleb not taking a profit. Some of these, so that play, for instance, you've Keenan Allen streaking wide open over the middle. That's his read. He goes from Rome, so he's got basically a matchup on both sides. He gets to pick which one he wants to pick. He picked Rome. Rome doesn't win. As he peeks back to Komet, which is his second read, he sees that Keenan's open. That's right read. He makes the throw. He's a tick late because he second guesses himself due to coverage rotation, essentially.
Yeah. So I brought this play up the first time around. Boy, I'm not going to be able to make this natural. I'm just going to keep talking about the thing that nobody else listened to. The reason I brought it up though is because I stumbled upon Chase Daniel. I've never watched Chase Daniel before, but I stumbled upon it, and he's the one who told me, like, you got to just take Cole Kmet. And in my mind, I'm watching that and I'm saying, well, yeah, take Cole Kmet if you're fucking Chase Daniel. If you're Caleb Williams, the linebackers have been drawn in. Two of them are coming in towards Cole Kmet. They're both in no man's land, meaning that both guys should be open. Caleb just threw it late. The safety split it pretty well, or one of them was maybe a corner type in like an inverse cover two, whatever it
It was a
was.
non-traditional Tampa. He basically hits the hole. The corner's right there as the skinny post is basically going into it. However, it's wide ass open due to the linebackers coming in and biting. And you're supposed to come to that early. It's basically it's a skinny post, but it's supposed to be thrown like a seam ball.
Right. So I always feel weird disagreeing with even the idiots like Chase Daniel and Kurt Benkert, but they were quarterbacks, and that is what they would have done probably. But I don't really care what they would have done. At least JTO will imagine himself in the body of a quarterback that has Caleb Williams' arm, or
I also think
Caleb Williams just mindset, I guess, even because who else would have tried that middle post is Ryan Fitzpatrick, because Ryan Fitzpatrick had that mindset. I like Caleb's mindset there. Yeah, I got the free thing right here. This is like 5 yards maybe. I got 18 yards on this skinny post. I want him to throw it. I want him to get to it a split second earlier, and he will as he progresses and sees more of these coverages in real time. He was just late, but that was a perfectly fine throw to try to make. I wish the execution was an A instead of a C minus.
There's another one where it's a fade to the end zone, and look, we should be getting rid of any of our red zone fades. They're low percentage throws. But there's another one there where he throws to Keenan Allen. That's his first read. Keenan Allen has a one-on-one matchup. You take that. But
You said it
after
again.
that,
No, you said low percentage throw. We're on about the 15-yard line. There's plenty of room for a fade. For
okay, fair. It's not the low red.
Fade.
You're right. It's not the low red.
From the 15 or so. We got third and 10 from about the 15.
So
Keenan is isolated to Caleb's left. We got a little bunch action, I think, going on the right. Caleb sees one-on-one with Keenan. He confirms one-on-one when the safety goes this way, and Keenan's going that way. He throws the fade. Plain and simple, he throws the fade. The Cardinals had interfered, pass interfered. The 2 previous plays, it was not called. They made it 3 for 3 with pass interference on Keenan on that play and broke the pass up.
They're not going to call it.
None
Keep
of
doing
those
it.
got called. Good job, Cards. They weren't calling it. You knew to tackle our wide receiver as he's trying to catch the ball.
But it comes back to the same point.
That was the right read.
It was the right read. It's his first read. He's not going to pass up an open first read, the correct read. To then throw to in that play, I believe it's DJ Moore coming on it's either a drag or an in. That looks like it would have been a walk-in touchdown. Yes, that would have been a walk-in touchdown. But he doesn't know that when he sees his first read open. We can't be sitting there and giving him crap there. So let's a little bit of defense on Caleb. There are certain things that people are freaking out about when it comes to take the easy throw. He's seeing his read is open. He's taking that read. They were correct.
So
on both of those examples.
So thinking about that, Keenan is the alert, and the alert is you throw it. He probably wasn't the one on that play. He's probably the alert, and he threw it.
And to be clear, Shane Waldron had also confirmed that was the correct decision. That in that coverage, that's what he's supposed to do. That's what the play dictates. He's not going to come to his second just because he needs to hope that one's open after he sees something that he's supposed to make the decision.
Why would you assume the second is going to become open when your one is already? I cannot stress enough that this would have been a touchdown if they had not interfered and gotten away with it. It was a touchdown. It was going to be a touchdown.
Now, we don't need to sit here and continue to defend those plays. It's essentially there have been a lot of plays that have been overblown. There is a bit of where he needs to take a profit when the play is broken down. There's a certain point when you've got a blitz and you've got a hot wide open. Take it, send it. There are decisions where it's like, yes, take the profit. We agree with you. It's just there have been a couple that I feel like have gotten super overblown. The media has gone wild on it. The one that could have been a touchdown to DJ Moore has really been overblown. It's like, no, that's the right read. Let's not give the kid shit if he's doing the correct thing. Now all of a sudden, what do you guys want him? Do you want him to have bad habits? To become
it would have been a bad habit to not throw that alert.
Yep.
It's called an alert because you throw it if the thing happens that you're looking for.
Yep, exactly.
Now, two parts about this. Let's get to the part where. So we defended a couple Caleb things. There's a lot to say that Caleb did poorly with the caveat that he's a rookie. But I do want to hit really quickly on why is Keenan isolated on the left side on a potential fade ball if there's an alert? Why is that the receiver that you choose to put in that situation? You can put any receiver on your team, and that's it. You could put any player on your team in that situation. Why did you choose Keenan?
Why is Keenan that option so often?
Why is Keenan ever running a route longer than 10 yards? He is a slot god. He is a borderline Hall of Fame slot god because of his short area quickness, his body control, his hands, which let us down on one notable occasion in this game. He is not, and almost never has been, an outside jump ball winner. That's not. He's okay. He's been a jump ball winner, but it's never been about athleticism, like pure athleticism.
He's a possession receiver, he's a possession receiver. He's not a vertical threat, and he is definitely a short to intermediate, now mostly short because he's lost a good bit in a good step receiver. He can get open. He can run a slant. He runs a slant. He sets up his slant routes just so beautifully. He legitimately makes it look like he's about to run an out. Gets the corner to take a full step, cuts it in. So we're not he's got usefulness. He should not be. So in 12, we talked about 12 personnel. Why is he always how often is he the outside receiver, the second outside receiver in 12 personnel? Why is Rome not in more often in 12 personnel? Right? There's a lot of stuff there. There's a lot of usage issues. I mean, all over the place. We've harped on it on other episodes. This is starting to get frustrating.
It truly the
Rome's a good blocker.
But what is it? What are they expecting?
I think you have two very big. I mean, to be fair, you harped on this on the last one, so I'm not trying to step on your point because it's your point. You've
Okay,
two.
I've actually just cured myself from referencing the last one, so now you got to go.
I
Go
feel
with
bad.
it.
I feel bad. I feel bad. You have two big personalities, right? And a top 10 pick as a rookie. Is that why though? Like you're like, oh, the rookie can sit out for a bit. We need to make sure that we feature our
I don't know that it's okay to call Keenan a big
not
personality, but
big
I got
personality,
it.
big
But this
names.
is right. So this is where we can say I think Waldron has maybe proven last year in Seattle and it's now proving again here. And I think this is always a bit of a fear, but now it's playing out in a way that is a little more uncomfortable than I realized it was going to be. He doesn't seem to understand the ball will go to the guy that's open in an ideal world. Just have your receivers run some
Have
normalized
responsibilities.
plays.
Put them
There are
in a
certain
role that they're
there
made
are
for.
certain things. So Keenan Allen, as we just said, there's probably not really, unless you, besides some tendency breakers, it would be really weird to ever ask Keenan Allen to do anything besides running short area 10-yard routes or closer. Cole Kmet, not really any reason to have him, besides like the occasional kind of like corner route type of thing. You want him to
He
be
can run
kind
a
of
seam. He can run
closer
down the
as
seam too.
well. The seam, of course, the seam
Yep.
usually is a clear out, but if a seam's another often an alert type play. So sure.
Run 4 verts in
You're
11
not you're not doing it. The point, you're not doing anything
against
crazy with
quarters.
Keenan. You're not going to split him out unless you're doing something kind of I'm forgetting the word because I had too many beers the first pod.
If you're not trying to break a tendency, show them a look that they wouldn't expect and basically surprise them. Stop doing it. And here's the thing: sure, running Keenan Allen on a fade or a slot fade is a surprise, but not when you've done it. How often? Like it was wide
Right.
ass open. I think the first one we saw was wide ass open, and Caleb missed the throw. It was against the Titans, right?
There's
That one
not many
surprised them.
teams. There are not many teams that have even one guy who can run the big boy routes, and we have two that can run the big boy routes, and yet we're very often trying to make it like a like a 33 split
At
to
best,
be the
I
most
still think
generous.
Rome's
Yeah,
not
right,
getting. It's
right.
really like
It's
40,
not even
40,
that.
20. And the
It should
other 40
be
is too much on the wrong side.
it should be 45 ish. Like these two guys can run the full route tree with a few little exceptions. If you want to look at the Christmas tree on Matt Harmon's
I think
thing, but for the most part, these guys can both run the full route tree. And if those things are not open, then you look at this elite slot type short area slot option. This very very good one too many varies. This
honestly, I
very good tight end or this really fast running back that loves to catch the ball with one hand and sometimes run 10 yards because there's no defender in front of him. And that's where DeAndre Swift excels when there's no defender in front of him.
in open space, but he's got a lot of room.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
This all seems like a Madden player's dream because one thing Madden players don't have to worry about is, I guess, the personality of their receivers. But it's all so obvious what routes these guys should be running on a given concept. And one example would be mesh, which we don't run enough, and it would serve as a nice little easy button to Keenan. A lot more mesh. Imagine DJ running a drag over here and Cole Kmet running a little drag the other way. And Keenan Allen on the outside for once, sitting down and finding a spot in zone. Maybe Rome's running a vertical or something, because sometimes you
he's
have a little
running a
vertical
post.
on the other side, like an
Yep.
alert on one side. You got DeAndre Swift. Maybe they're in cover one. The guy goes this way, and DeAndre Swift's runs a wheel this way.
Then we
I don't
got
think
a
I've
little
seen
too
that
many routes.
play. I don't see that play.
Right.
But what's crazy is each of those guys fits so perfectly into that extremely popular play design. Just do that.
Right. And I
Our
think that
our Jimmies are going to beat their Joes if we just let them do what they do.
right. And so just to explain, because I know we were talking about short routes and keeping him in the slot for Keenan Allen. This would be a nice little tendency breaker, right? Basically, like we're
Not,
talking
not
about
even
DJ
actually.
Moore
It would
because
be show him on the outside, but he's still basically doing what a slot guy does. He's just coming in and finding a soft spot. You can line
if
him
it's
up
on, yeah.
somewhere other than the slot, but he's still doing the same basic thing.
Technically, in man, he's running a dig, and then he has the choice to sit and find a soft spot in the zone if
Sure, but he's
if
not.
it's
He's
zone
running.
coverage. But yeah,
He's running a
and
Keenan
that's
Allen route.
and that's still very much to his like finding the soft spot in his zone is very much a Keenan Allen. He's done it a few times, quite a few times. Finding that soft spot, Caleb hitting him in a closing window as they figure out that he's right there. Like it's been awesome. But those are his strengths, and continue to use his strengths. Stop using him as what like Rome's setup would be. And then coming back to that mesh, DJ Moore is not getting enough stuff underneath, setting him up for yak opportunities. Where are the bubble screens? Mesh is a great example of this. Have Komet act as the pick, get DJ Moore the ball, like the ball in his hands 2 yards off the line of scrimmage in open space so he can create. Like these are the easy buttons that we're missing.
So I'm getting a little sick of
play concept.
I'm a little sick of screens that are not the DeAndre Swift, I'm being honest. They've all been disasters.
But they've all been
let's
like
get some drags. Let's get some drags
they've all been
going.
like Gerald Everett. They've been
some little shallow cross. That's so nice.
Agree.
There's been a couple of more that have been like, all right, fuck the fucking screens to get blown up every time. But yeah, sure. The point remains: get the ball in DJ's hand in the short area, because everything seems like we're using him as a strictly vertical receiver, which is absolutely not what he is. He's an all three levels receiver, and maybe vertical is his worst level.
Honestly, vertical outside is probably not the best thing for. And it also comes down to he's not exactly great at winning off press. So having him be your X all the time as often as he's been, right? Instead of having it be Rome play that role a little bit more, and Rome having probably a shockingly more complete route tree. Just feature your damn rookie rider. He's did again. It comes. We talked about this with this drop. We don't need to get into that. It was a terrible drop, but outside of that drop, he had a fantastic game, and because he was used way more often.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. There's just there's something with Waldron where it's like, okay, this is going to be the Rome game, or maybe it's with Caleb. I don't know. I don't know. But
there's definitely an issue with personal usage.
This is going to be the this guy game, and it's like, stop making it the this guy game. We got so many guys; they're going to get open. It's just going to be whatever the game says it's going to be. I mean, that's the thing. You know, the Cardinals on the other side. There have been a couple of Marvin Harrison games, but you know what's so nice about what Petzing is doing is it doesn't have to be the Harrison game, because maybe they're just going to focus on Harrison and Trey McBride's going to eat underneath. And if neither of those guys is open, they're going to throw it to Greg Dortch.
Or maybe James Conner's going off.
Maybe we're going so crazy trying to play the pass on second and long from the 50-yard line with 12 seconds left. Hey, let's just run a little counter to Amari DiMercato, or I got his name right the first time. Emery DiMercato.
Wasn't ready.
It doesn't matter what the guy is.
Right. And I think what you're really trying to say is use your guys the way that they're supposed to be used. Stop trying to figure out how you could
stop pigeonholing things. Yeah. It's going to happen naturally. Because they're good. They're good players. And that's why they produce. They don't produce because you throw them the ball. They produce because they get open, and that's why you throw them the ball. They don't get open. They don't get open if you're putting them in situations where they don't normally get open.
Right. If you're putting them in roles in which that they're not made for, you've now actually done the exact opposite just because you want to focus on them. You want to get Keenan Allen the ball more. You want to really put DJ in that number one wide receiver role and have him do things that say an AJ Brown can that maybe he doesn't, but he's fantastic in other places, right? You're doing this because you're like, oh, how do I put these guys and get it in their hands? Do it by putting them in situations that they thrive in. Yeah, that's it. And eventually they will get the ball all the time. It's going to end up spreading the wealth in the best possible way. Now, I don't want to ignore what we talked about with Caleb, the inaccuracies and stuff like that. But I think what people need to also understand is, so let's come back to Caleb. It's been seeing how bad he's been throwing some of these intermediate throw. Like he was fine outside of week 1. He was fine for most of the throwing intermediate short, perfectly fine. Deep balls have been an issue all season. Intermediate short has not been an issue accuracy-wise outside of that first game. The last 2 games have been very concerning.
Not a problem.
Now, in my opinion, it looks like the other thing he's been doing a lot of is being late to throws. And he's hesitating. It almost feels like he's hesitating on some of these. So, like, let's go back to that one example with Keenan Allen. He sees it. He gets over to the read perfectly fine. He hesitates on it. He takes an extra hitch. And I'm wondering if he's not trusting what he's seeing, because one, we are facing defense. I know the defenses have sucked that we faced. We're facing defenses that are more willing to disguise their coverage and more willing to run various coverages, right? And throw more looks at him, even the pressure packages as well, right? When we face the Jaguars and we face the Panthers, they run literally just cover 3 on us the whole game. He didn't have to question what he was seeing. That we already talked about how on that one play they rotated into a NTT, right? And that rotation does say the skinny post is eventually going to be closed. Can I throw it here? He's wide ass open here. I'm sure he's questioning what he's seeing as he's seeing these rotations happen, or as he's seeing different coverages that NTTs aren't used by a lot of teams. As he's seeing some of these different coverages that he probably hasn't seen before. And I'm wondering if that's what's throwing off his mechanics, because it's up here that's causing down there to not flow in a way that's natural. Because he has to hesitate. He has to second guess it. He's not sure. So then his feet are off a little bit.
I mean, I think that's that. So I think that is unquestionably what is happening. Like, yeah, I do think it's starting in his head. I do, as he was the number 1 pick, and we have seen him show a knack for processing as a rookie. And when we see that, we maybe begin to expect a little too much, and that's probably where this is. After that Washington game, it does disappoint me a little bit that a disguised coverage still made him hesitant. I would think the takeaway from that Washington game would be, shit, I got to let it rip. I got to trust my eyes here, and I got to let it rip, because that's when stuff started working. And that was not it. It was being afraid. And man, I don't know I don't know if it's a flus thing where it's like, if you're not sure, just hold it, because we don't want to turn the ball over. It could that be it? I don't know.
I really hope he's
It's
not being
weird.
coached to hold back on his instincts, because that would be a massive issue. I don't want to think that he is getting that same treatment that Justin Fields eventually ended up deservingly so getting in year 3. But it would be a concern a massive concern if that's the case. I will say though, you need to build that Rolodex of coverages that you need to build them in game. You got to see it live.
Am I crazy to say that I wish Caleb had thrown more interceptions this year, though? I haven't.
5?
Yeah, but like they're all like. So there was the
most
bad
of
one
them,
against the Jaguars, but he was trying to. He had it wide open. He threw a bad ball.
that was a right read. That's not a bad ball.
There was the one where he was late to the flat. What was the big one?
Mm-hmm.
And that was.
And then there's 2 against
that
the
was
Texans.
Him being stupid. There was the 2 crazy ones against the Texans that were ill-advised, but honestly,
those were in creation.
I'd rather him not a lot of interceptions from structure. The main one I can remember, and so I think number 5 is the second one against the Colts, where he tried something. I think he tried. I think it might have been a cover 2 hole shot to Adunze, and Adunze was a little bit interfered with. Had his hands held. I still think he should have come up with the ball. Tipped and picked off by the Colts defender. I wanted to try more stuff. Like, I just feel like he's holding himself back. And it's like, no, man, I want you to test that middle. I want you to keep testing that. I don't care. You're gonna make the defense do something else if you keep testing that spot of the defense. And it's I don't. There's no way to know. but like it's never been an issue with him before. He's got no issue making the throw that he thinks need to be made. And in the last 2 games, he's been weird about it.
I'm curious if how much of it is like how about this self-doubt, self-pressure. Like, he says he doesn't get nervous. He says it's the next play, etc. I remember like through training camp, he was doing that. He was just ripping it, and he was making people overblew the fact that in training camp you're supposed to learn what exactly you can and can't get away with against your own defense before you're going to try to do that early in your rookie year too, right? Against other defenses, but really get that in during training camp. Even veteran quarterbacks try to test their boundaries then. Um, I think people overblew the amount of mistakes against our defense. I really hope that didn't stick. And then on top of all the other, like what happened against Washington, then leading to it spiraling.
I'd sooner
I
I'd
just,
sooner I'd sooner blame the coaching than the internal Caleb stuff.
I truly think that he's trying, because I can't tell if it's that or if he's trying to prove himself as a pocket quarterback. And because of that, he doesn't want to mess up. Like, I am wondering how much of it could be there's just added pressure to be like, well, if I throw an interception here, I'm proving the point that I can't play within structure when I try to play within structure.
Yeah, and I
Where
gotta
it's
say,
like,
man, you play with structure. We got it. I want to see some.
dude,
I
break.
want to see you make the thread the needle a couple times here. I don't know. His biggest play was on a busted route to Rome.
I think he's also trying to avoid negatives because our defense is so good that we could go to the playoffs if he doesn't. And that's, I get that he understands it. He said it himself. I know that if I don't make mistakes, we have a better chance of the game. I don't like that. I hate that that's a fact for a rookie quarterback. I
Hit
want my
that.
rookie quarterback to be testing things out. And I don't know if it's from coaching because I think he's smart enough in football to know that that is true, right? But you're a rookie. Just learn from your mistakes, but you got to try it before you can make an attempt to learn from it because you might be right. And then you learn from the rightness too.
See, I
That's
mean, that's the thing that made me mad about like the Rams game this year is like, yeah, we won. I think by more than 7 points in the end. Something like that. I don't know, but like Caleb played so dicklessly in that game, and it's like, yeah, we won because you didn't make any mistakes. That's one side of it, but like, what if you tried and we had scored 30 instead of 21 or whatever it is? Like, I'd rather that. Like, we might also win if you make mistakes, but also make big plays. In fact,
right.
statistically, it's more likely.
Right. Especially if the mistakes are interceptions and not sacks.
Yes.
Interceptions are so volatile. It's you still need there's so much luck involved with it. Whereas a sack is you mess up, if you're the cause of a sack, which when you hesitate, you're going to be the cause of a sack. If you're the cause of a sack, the sack's gonna end up happening, right? There isn't any turnover luck in a sack. Like there is, oh hey, I threw this ball and the guy dropped it. They got the corner, couldn't get to it. Or, oh hey, I actually threw a perfect pass and it tipped off my guy's hands and that turned into an interception. That's not really my fault. My guy dropped the ball right into the other guy. They happen
Yeah.
so much less often in totality. Interceptions are just so much harder to get that if you have a bunch of big plays, they're going to make up for it. They're going to make up for those. Your turnover worthy play rate, honestly, probably won't even get to the same amount as your big time throw rate if you just want to let it rip. Like if you don't second guess yourself, like you're still making a read, you see it, trust yourself, throw it. I'm not saying be reckless and stupid. Don't be a Will Levis. But you're seeing the read, just and you think it's open, throw it. Don't hesitate. That's it.
Yeah.
If you made a
So
mistake because something wasn't there that you didn't see, but you actually did try to read it out, it's those opportunities are probably gonna be a lot less often. It's fine. It might not even get intercepted. Just go for it, man.
so we said 20 minutes and we've already passed that up and we need to get to a couple more points here. So let's move off that a little bit. Let's mention really quickly the offensive line was already in trouble when Bourne had to start at left tackle. Then Darnell Wright got hurt again, or got hurt for the first time, I guess. But Darnell Wright got hurt. And I think we tried Pryor at right tackle, and then eventually Jay Coran came in and played a little bit. And even before that, we were making the Cardinals pass rush look really good. that was an issue. That is an excuse that Caleb can have. But I got to say, especially when you identify pressure, and I can see you identifying pressure, you just got to get rid of the ball. There's going to be a time you can rip it for a big play. There's a balancing act, and it's probably confusing for a rookie who's also battling with things that we just said, where he's not sure if he wants to try to take a risk. But like,
If you're hot,
yeah,
you're hot.
if pressure's getting there, I mean, honestly, not even hot, like a 4-man pressure might be getting there. If it's getting there, you got to have the awareness, and maybe let's try to take the free cheese and instead of the throwaway, which bless him for throwing it away as often as he has. But
I don't want to take away from
no.
his creation on a 4-man pressure that just gets there, right? I do think that if you've gone through
Oh,
your
that's
whole
true.
thing, if you've
Unless
gone
it's
through your whole
there.
progressive, if the check down's there and you've gone through your progression, right? Let's say you got through 2. You've been there for, okay, maybe my alarm should be going off. My alarm should be shorter because my
It typically is
what's
1-2 check down.
so like get to it. But if you need to create, and let's be real here, the creations are going to happen when it's not a free runner, but like your guy gets beat real fast. He's created really well. When his guy gets beat super quick, creates. I don't want to take that away, right? Don't just like throw it at somebody's feet or something like that. There's a balancing act there, but there's that one play really sticks out to me where he's holding on to the ball for like 3 seconds and DeAndre Swift is literally right in front of him, just waiting for it.
Yeah.
Dude, take it. Like there's at this point the pocket's collapsing around you. There isn't room to escape. What's the hesitation?
Right.
So
I mean, but that is, I mean, that is to say, the offensive line is a great excuse, and it is a valid excuse.
I don't even know if it's just
but
offensive
the
line.
only
It's
two
pressure plan too, man, or pass protection plan. It's just been awful. Like DeAndre Swift has missed massive, like multiple assignments, and it's just the whole pass protection plan is terrible. But go on.
Sure. I was just gonna say, and maybe it's a moot point because by the time Wright got hurt, it was already fucked. But
yeah,
um,
it's the other thing. Lots of moving pieces.
you gotta I don't know, you gotta
take that into consideration.
You got no, I'm saying you got to figure something out basically. This offense can still be functional even if Larry Borum and Jack Ryan are playing tackle next week. You just got to figure something out. You got to go to quick game. You just got to change the way that you do things.
Some of that's gonna be on Waldron too. At this point, we're also talking about things that are happening.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's mostly on Waldron. That's why I say the game was mostly out of hand, and where you're gonna get to quick game early down, a quick game when you're down 18 points. Probably not, but.
And
Sunday we got a new game. We gotta help Caleb out, and not in the most obvious ways possible. Let's do the quick game stuff he's been good at. That's gonna get uncomfortable. And then
just to remind people,
let's take some shots off that, because offensive tackles are professional NFL offensive tackles. They can't be doing that every play, but we can pick some spots.
And just to remind people, when you're in scat protection, meaning you're in empty, right? Or you got 10 personnel and the running back's going out for a route. Even then, when you've only got 5 guys protecting, you're usually running quick game, right? This isn't them saying, oh, we're going to just feed him to the wolves. He doesn't have additional help, right? The ball should be out before the pressure gets there on most of those. And when it comes to like, hey, throw some extra looks on that, the wrinkle is like a stop and go, which Caleb's going to be throwing in like 2.5 seconds. And you just hope on that one instance where you got them, right? You got the guy to bite, you get it.
Genuinely, Caleb has been, if there's one thing Caleb's been great at this year, it is that.
And with our offensive line being hurt, everyone talking about wanting to run the ball more. Running the ball is going to set us up in terrible situations with how bad this offensive line is at this point degraded to. You're going to be finding yourself on a lot of, maybe not against the Patriots because their rush defense sucks ass, but you're going to be finding yourself in a lot of 2nd and 10s, 3rd and 9s, maybe even 3rd and 12, right? Run stuff. Quick game is a replacement for the run. So we're not saying, hey, pass it because we want Caleb to pass the ball more and passing is fun and exciting. We're going sort of West Coast on this. But yeah, I agree with you. There needs to be a plan here. It's so bad at this point that because of how bad it's degraded, I worry about all of that as well.
Yeah. Anyway,
I want to get off the offense.
Yeah. Defense. Is there anything worth bringing back to? So,
I want to talk about that blitz. I want to talk about that blitz because I'm really annoyed that people. So I hear a lot of things. Oh, gap responsibility. You just got to play your gaps.
I want to make this clear really quickly. We're about to say some stuff that does not excuse the fact that you cannot be giving up a 55-yard run
absolutely
with 12 seconds left in the half. However,
I don't think it's the player's fault. And Flus actually owned up to this. He said it himself. And I saw it live. I was like, oh, fuck, we just got caught in a terrible blitz. Like, the play call was going to beat us. Yes, we're a gap sound defense. One gap run defense. However, when you call a pass blitz, you are essentially trying to you're saying screw the run for this play.
About no gaps.
Yeah. We are putting ourselves in a bad spot to try to overload blockers and get a sack and beat the pass. We know that this will hurt us in the run. Yes.
Make him get rid of it quickly. Yep. Something.
Yeah. We know that this will hurt us in the run.
Counter to the other side of the blitz.
So I know a lot of people are really pissed off about that explosive and saying, well, and to be fair, there's a lot of run plays that, like, yes, we need to play our gap responsibilities. That one's on the coach. That one is not on the players. That defense.
I won't even say it's on the coach. The plan was fine. Teams should do it more often. Because what it ended up being was a punt return. DeMercado got this ball in space off a counter. The blitz all got washed out on the other side. It ended up being like 6 or 7 blockers on 6 or 7 defenders, and the defenders are all backpedaling because they were doing nothing but playing the pass. And it would have taken, at that point, an A+ play out of somebody. Well, it's not so A+, A- play out of somebody to shed their blocker and make that tackle.
Right. And it's
funny, the plan was fine because who the hell is expecting a counter run? Like, it's
in that situation. And that's exactly it. I shouldn't blame it on Flus. What it really is as everyone knows, football is always considered like a game of chess. And a lot of times it's Jimmy's and Joe's over X's and O's. This is a time where that game of chess, you got in checkmate. It was about the X's and O's. And it was just, It was strictly about the fact that you made one guess, and the other person made the perfect, it was rock, paper, scissors, and you hit paper and they said scissors. Right?
Well, what they said was fucking glue gun. Because
yeah. They absolutely just got you on the wrong call. And
that wasn't even on the table. It wasn't,
Right. And so it's like it is hard to also blame Flus. You're right. It is just a really bad situation to be in. That blitz went exactly where it needed not to go, and it attacked the gap that it exactly didn't need to, and left. You got, what was it, a GT counter, right? It was something like that. I know they had pullers on it coming through. And they just washed out that blitz so perfect. Like, the blitz had no chance of coming through, and that gap was right there, and you have nobody around because of it. We had one idea of what they're going to do. They called something completely opposite, and that happened to be the perfect thing to hurt us. And can't really be gaps on when you're telling somebody we're doing a pass blitz, which we don't care about being gaps on.
Hey, one of your new Blue Sky followers followed me on. Once I followed them.
Nice.
They followed me back.
Which one?
We're Blue Sky guys now.
We're Blue Sky.
I'm not gonna dox them now.
Fair.
We're becoming We're making Bears. We're building Bears Blue Sky from the ground up as of Wednesday morning.
We are Twitter pilgrims with other Twitter pilgrims trying to build up Bears Blue Sky.
And we're starting with this redo of
one of our worst recordings, I think, in recent memory.
Hey, the middle though. Remember that middle?
And that was great, man.
I don't think there's a lot left to talk about
defensively.
As far as the other defense, it sucks that Brisker is still hurt, and frankly, it sucks on a human level at this point.
Kyler
hopefully will be back. Montez hopefully will be back. We didn't want to say a little shorthanded. It's still not great to that the defense could not stop the run at all. That has officially become a concern. I've been playing that off a little bit all year. It is concerning at this point. I would say with our guys back, it would become less concerning.
I think it goes from you get gashed every so often to getting gashed as often as we just did. But also, I mean, I want to make that point again that I gonna step on yours one more time, so I don't want to take credit for it. Teams have bad games, man. Defense has been it's been on fire like for how many games in a row?
Yeah.
They have
See,
one bad game.
this
We
is
can't be
my
freaking
favorite.
out over it.
This is my favorite part that we lost. And I wasn't going to repeat it, but yeah, this is the.
I don't want it. This needs to be repeated. I think people are freaking out over one bad defensive game, thinking people quit. There are injuries to be taken into account, and we just have bad. Players have bad games.
Let's say that
Teams
there's no
have bad
injuries to
games.
account. Let's say that there's no actual good reason for any of this. It is okay to lose a game by 20 on the road to another decent team. Two decent teams met on a 305 in Glendale on a Sunday, and one decent team kicked the living shit of another decent team. That
Just
does
like
happen. That happens all the time, and it doesn't really have much to do with the quality of either team. It has to do with what was going on with both those teams at the time. It has to do with a lot of random bullshit, like a crazy counterplay that happened to work and go 60 yards at the end of a half. It has to do with the fucking roof being open during an unexpected hailstorm, but the roof being closed once the Cardinals got the ball back. It has to do with a lot of stupid bullshit. It has to do a lot with the Bears playing poorly and their players being maybe poorly coached or poorly, in a bad mindset from the previous game. And maybe a better coach would have had them in a better mindset. Who knows? Because, they probably were wearing a lot of the heartbreak from the previous game. It has a lot to do with a lot of things. But for somebody to say that loss is completely unacceptable or the laughing side of the league, I may
the
be
Ravens
just
lost to the fucking Raiders earlier this season. The Bills got destroyed by those same Ravens because the Ravens are fucking great. The Raiders suck ass. The Bills also, who are very good, lost by 25 points to those same Ravens. Shit happens. Sorry.
I was gonna add, I may be just some soy boy cuck here who
likes watching our team get
was a little sad last Tuesday and in a rage, quit a website on Wednesday and still not over it. And a lot of people who call me a cuck that are still on that website, but I gotta say, it is acceptable. It is acceptable to lose a game by 20 points to an average team. Just don't make a habit of it. Don't do it again. Win the next game because you realized how badly you fucked up this game. But honestly, it's okay to lose by 20 to the Cardinals. The Cardinals are okay. Wish it hadn't happened, but it happens.
That's the other thing, too, is people think this was supposed to be an easy game. Cardinals are currently in the lead in the NFC West. They have a fantastic offense. Their defense isn't good. The concerns on our offensive side of the ball, perfectly valid. The defense having a bad game, this team being viewed because of the defense having a bad game, and how bad it looked against the Cardinals, who are a good team, who are currently leading their division, etc. Also, the Commanders, another game that we thought was going to be easy in the preseason. Oh my God, we lost. They're good teams. They're great teams. They're still good teams. Losing them back to back because we thought that this was supposed to be the easy part of our schedule. Probably still should have won, sure. Losing them back to back like that against teams that are much better than what we expected. We gotta sit back and remember, hey, just because we had these thoughts earlier on doesn't mean that these teams are what we thought they were back then.
That's why I don't make preseason predictions. I mean,
I only do it for fun. You know this.
I know. I didn't fucking say anything about you.
I know, but we always get into it every time I send you it. You're like, why are you sending me? This is how much he hates preseason predictions. When I send it, he knows I'm doing it for fun. He's like, what do you want me to say about it? We know shit's going to change. Because you're right.
Now, before we hit very quickly on the Patriots game, do you have the ability to pause this recording?
Yes.
Let me know.
And we're back. Let's talk about the. Oh, hey, was I supposed to? Thought you're ready.
I was going to seamlessly transition us back in. Let's get to the Pats.
It would have been funny. Hold on, if you seamlessly did it. Remember, I paused you after you said, "Can you pause this recording?" Not really easy to seamlessly do it.
No, I know, but it would be funny.
It would have. You're right. Fine. Anyway, go on.
You know me. Don't you think I had something planned? I didn't really have any plan. Let's go drink some more beer.
Shoot. So the Patriots.
I should have grabbed another beer on the way back.
Oh, let me introduce the Patriots defense real quick while you go do that. Specifically, their tendencies that we talked about. So just to give everyone an idea, as we mentioned, the Cardinals and the Commanders do a lot of different things up front and in their coverages, etc. The Jags and the Panthers did not. And one thing we're gonna note real quick with the Patriots is they don't either, which is nice.
We don't know that much about the Patriots. Let's be clear. We haven't watched many Patriots games. We've enjoyed watching their offense play as Drake May took over for Jacoby Brissett in the
Watched
3 games ago.
Games, actually, now that I think about it, which is a lot more than I would have thought.
I mean, we said the Jets Thursday night game, and
then also the
monitoring that Jets game a little bit.
Yeah,
I guess 2 Jets games.
Both Jets games, actually, now that I think about it.
And a little bit of overtime of the Titans game last week.
Yes, the end of the Titans game, basically, because I saw the game scoring throw.
They have the profile, as you were about to get to. We have not been watching the defense that closely. We're familiar with some of their good players on defense. We'll talk about a couple of them.
We also know what their analytically profile
their
has.
Coverage profile and their tendencies, and certainly what it's led to, tells me that this is an incredibly poorly coordinated defense.
Yes, which is shocking because Mayo comes from Billy B. So really quickly, they really love cover zero for what I would have expected. Running cover zero at about 56.8%. Oh, sorry.
And yet, and cover zero at about 9%, a little less than 9%.
Sorry, I'm looking at the pressure. Sorry, that's the run chart. That is the amount of times they run pressure. They run cover zero, 56.8. If they're throwing a blitz and if they're running a blitz, they're either doing a cover zero or cover 3. That's another.
Are you able to see? Is there any higher rate than that besides I assume the Vikings?
Well, no, there are. I mean, they're 15th in it. It's just more so the fact that they use cover 3 so much off it as well, because
You're saying that 14 more teams run when they blitz cover zero than the Patriots?
Falcons also, because they have no Tennessee Titans, Bengals, a bunch of teams that don't have good fronts, and then also the Broncos, shockingly. But yeah, literally every team above them just has a terrible front. It seems like they're going cover zero. So Minnesota's at 95.2%. When they blitz, they're running cover zero behind the blitz.
I guess. Oh. Okay, so, no, that doesn't. That's strange. I guess the weird thing is the Patriots blitz frequency is middle of the pack. So it's basically you're almost assured to be getting cover zero when they blitz.
I don't trust this chart right now. It's from Match Quarters. I don't trust this chart real quick. Minnesota's in cover zero 95.2% of the time. So NFL coverage usage behind pressure, right? So I'm setting pressure. These are the coverage usage. Should add up to 100%, right? And I know because I said 95.8 with Minnesota. Minnesota, I know for a fact, runs blitzes with cover 3 behind it as well. And NTT shells. This is 95.2%. Sorry, 95.2 cover 0, yet 50 cover 3. How does that add up? It doesn't.
Now, Adam, I love you. I do not love Cody Alexander. I'm inclined to say that you are reading Cody Alexander's chart wrong. Because there's no way that he's expecting you to think that something is happening 140% of the time.
But yeah, no, I mean, you're right. I don't understand how this is supposed to be read, though. And so we're gonna skip. This is 5+ rushers, so 5 and up. So it's blitzes. It's only blitzes. I'll send you the chart later. That is, I'm glad I saw that. So let's go back to coverage usage, which does add up to 100%, just to be clear.
Let's just get back to the Patriots really quick here.
Yeah. So
the Patriots blitz about 29% of the time. That is about middle of the pack. But also they are closer to the top in terms of cover zero. If they're blitzing, it's going to be cover zero. That is a tell.
8.2% cover zero usage, total usage. Now let's get rid of the other chart because I don't know what the hell's going on there. 8.2% of the time they are using cover zero. They're in cover zero, right? Of all coverage usage, all plays. That is 4th in the league, behind the Raiders. Chiefs use it 9.9%, and Dolphins. On top of that, they use cover 3. Or sorry, cover 1 30.7% of the time, and then cover 3 23.2% of the time. So they're doing a pretty good matchup. When they're not in cover 0, they're doing a pretty good mix of middle field open, middle field closed. But it does seem like what's happening is they're running a lot of, they're either in man, like they're either in really cover 1 mostly if their middle field's closed, versus what the rest of the league does. The rest of the league likes to run more cover 3 concepts with middle field closed right now. So they're going to be, and when they're using cover 3, they're running a blitz behind it. So they're being very predictable in the sense that it's cover 0 or cover 3 when it comes to what they're running behind their blitzes themselves.
Right.
If they're not blitzing, they're either in man or it's middle field closed, which they're running quarters at like 14% of the time, cover 6 like 6% of the time, and then it's the rest of it's in cover 2. Pretty even split though, middle field open, middle field closed. You're gonna know they don't disguise their coverages though, so you know pre-snap what they're doing, and that's the big point there.
We've taken these numbers and we have tried to turn that into thinking about whether the Bears can attack this correctly, and it has worked, I would say, beautifully sometimes, in terms of like what we think they're going to do to this sort of mix of things. It has also been a disaster when the teams decide to do something differently, which they have full capability of doing all the time. Here's what I'm going to say. I think the Patriots are poorly coordinated. I think they're going to see exactly this, and I think it's going to be very beatable if we call the correct plays. That's my takeaway from this.
I truly think there's not going to be a lot of post-snap processing, or as much as we've been seeing. Like a lot of the things we should be able to recognize it more pre-snap versus what we've been seeing more recently. The other thing that I'll add is Patriots are 30th in both run and pass DVOA, defensive DVOA. My only concern is the fact that the offensive line is in shambles at the moment, right? Because if we can't get over that, if Waldron doesn't understand what the best answers are to get over that, and we don't trust Waldron to find the right answers to get over that. If that ends up being the case and he doesn't, we still could be absolutely screwed. However, if that wasn't the case, I would expect this to be close to like the Panthers and Jags game, just based off the fact that it feels like they're giving you a look and you know what that look is going to be.
Yeah, I got
nothing else to really add to it.
You don't know what you're going to get until. I mean, you don't know what you're going to get, I guess, is the lesson I learned, especially from Washington. A little bit Arizona, but mostly Washington. But this feels Jagsy and Panthersy to me, personally. Their offense, there's not a lot to say, but I
just want to touch on
do want it to be clear that we were right about Drake May. I don't know if anybody else is seeing this. Drake May is playing incredibly. All credit to Brissett for coming to that Jets game and winning that game.
I double-checked it after we talked about that. It wasn't that good, man. It was just he had the 2 good drives at the end of the game that won it, and I don't even know how much of it was him. It was like a 50% completion percentage and 130.
Credit to him for being there. He was
right,
there.
but he isn't accounting for. He didn't account for nearly. Anyway,
I
let's
didn't
go on.
say he's the reason they won the Jets game, but they won the game while he was the quarterback. May has elevated this offense, and people said, and now this is a difficult thing because I want to take a victory lap, but I haven't earned the victory lap, and in fact, I don't think I deserve it at all in many cases, in many ways, because we were both pretty confounded that Drake May was not QB2 besides Caleb Williams. And as it turns out, neither one of them is probably QB1 in this class.
Oh yeah, we were both completely wrong, which I think we can
Discussion
both
for
accept
not
the
to,
fact
no,
we're wrong.
I'm not going to say completely wrong in
Not
the
completely.
long run, but probably the early returns are often the correct returns. But we'll see. We'll see. Still, the picking apart of Drake May, saying that he was not NFL ready, it's insane. I think he's right now one of the 10 best throwers of the football from the pocket in the NFL.
He's also such a creative thrower from the pocket. His ability to create space and get a throw off while the pocket's collapsing around him.
It's the creativity of it all. Yeah,
Wow.
it's the man. I just love the way that Matthew Stafford plays so much that anytime I see good quarterbacking, I say it's Stafford-esque, but it is Stafford-esque. It's
Stafford
any
does a lot of same.
platform. It's any platform. It's always big game hunting. It's if he finds a way to, on one foot with his body at a weird angle to somehow sling it 40 yards, he's going to do it. And he's doing it. He's doing it right now, behind a worse offensive line when healthy than what the Bears have right now when injured, probably.
Yep.
With his best receiver being either
Probably
Kendrick
wide receiver
Bourne or Demario Douglas or Kayshon Boutte.
Talking wide receiver 3 on almost any other team that isn't depleted of wide receivers.
At best, yeah.
Yeah.
And
again, really pushing the
awesome.
point here. Really pushing the point here. An offensive line that is maybe as good as our current beat up offensive line, probably worse. Really want to push that point since everybody gets so upset at our offensive line itself, thinking that should it. Yeah.
He's awesome, and I think we are lucky that we are getting him before he gets any weapons in any offensive line, because he's going to elevate them as he is going to do for most of the rest of his career, but they might not be good enough to be elevated.
And I do want to
consider ourselves fortunate for that.
I do want to call out a lot of the Chicago media for probably just not knowing or watching or realizing how much he's doing and elevating everything around him and creating any kind of offense with the situation he has.
They think he's the way that people talked about Josh Allen before they realized they were wrong about Josh Allen is the way that they're talking about Drake May. Yep. There's other guys like this. I can't remember. I guess Will Levis is kind of one where they're like, oh, Drake May, huh? That type of guy. Like, no, you don't understand.
But Will Levis is
you guys are about to find out, but you don't understand.
They're talking about him like Will Levis, but Will Levis probably deserves some of the shit he's getting, because he has a lot of.
Saying they're talking about him as if he's that type of guy, which is to say, kind of like vanilla. Well, just kind of like tall white guy from a bad school that nobody cared about,
making stupid mistakes and just balling it.
Throw some interceptions and people questioned his NFL readiness, etc. Josh Allen, Will Levis. There's a bunch of other examples of this that aren't coming to mind, but it's all like I think he's like a punchline. Like, oh, we're not gonna lose to Drake May. Well, we might fucking lose to Drake May because Drake May's awesome and he might do this all by himself.
I think the other game, the Patriots had like 300, 400 yards of offense. He had accounted for almost all of it, literally almost all of it. It reminds me of current Josh Allen, except with a terrible supporting cast, which makes it very difficult to be that. And you're gonna have to rely on some of the volatility. I know people point out the turnovers or some of the mistakes he makes. He needs to rely on that volatility to have a chance because of how bad the supporting cast is.
Yeah. And
it's amazing to me that, like, considering what he had at North Carolina, like, that was the like, everyone looked at how he played at North Carolina and said, "Well, this is wild." His supporting cast in North Carolina was absolutely atrocious. It's just as bad as it is.
Trubisky. I just realized Trubisky is another example of the type of guy I was talking about just now. That's an
And
obvious one.
I heard, who the hell was it? It's one of the
People think this is the same. This is not
I
the
literally
same.
no somebody. Who the hell was it? Which podcast was it? One of the Chicago ones that I listened to literally compared him. Oh, it's a Trubisky. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Oh, you know what? I think it was either Lance Briggs or Alex Brown in their new CHGO podcast. I got so
That would
mad.
make
I love.
sense. They're not
Come
watching.
on,
They don't
guys.
know. They don't know.
No,
I don't.
you're just
I
getting a helmet
can't.
at that point.
I can't even mind that much that those guys wouldn't know.
And
Lance
I think that
Briggs, our common enemy, the reason that this podcast exists. That's one of the types of things that we'd have
literally
to
the
once
reason.
again correct him for on social media.
Oh, I mean, I love Lance. He's got some
Lance,
good takes.
respectfully, me and Adam once again disagree with you.
Just not on offense.
And now we're gonna start another podcast. Every time we disagree with Lance Briggs, we start one podcast.
We start a new
Publicly.
The
The
thing
reason
that
Adam
really,
and I know each other is we disagreed with Lance Briggs in the comments one time.
Lance gave me a lot of shit. I actually think he called out something that I didn't think about on that one, to be fair, which was it was a special teams grading post. I'm like, wait, why are you giving them a C? They sucked. And he's like, well, they had a touchdown, they had a punt return for a touchdown that I totally forgot. Even though there's a whole bunch of other shit that sucked that led them to a C.
It was
like,
a
okay,
special
fair.
team.
Yeah,
Man, if I was, if we were,
like, why is he being such a dick to you?
If we were both not tedious about anything that didn't matter that day, like neither of us needed to respond because it did not matter, we would have never known each other. But we both were tedious and said, "Hey, your C plus towards the special teams is unwarranted."
And I can't remember who. I think you messaged me saying, "I don't know why he's being so mean to you." And I'm like,
I stood up for you on Twitter publicly.
Yep.
You slid into my DMs.
Was it all right? And then I just remember saying, "Well, I just appreciate the fact that he's responding."
I said this
anyway,
bitch, I'm gonna talk to him again. What a weird thing to say to me.
The thing with Bay though that also sticks out is like that should have told a lot of people that he can handle the chaos within the NFL because he was creating in the chaos of the NFL. And so when he comes in with this terrible supporting cast, the fact that he's handling it perfectly fine. Well, the way that he handled it, like what he had, he's basically stepping into the same situation. Yes, the defenders are much more athletic, right? But he still has the athleticism to do it, and he's still in a situation where he's constantly under duress and doesn't have great weapons.
Yeah, some guys are going to try to do the same thing they did in college and fail miserably. I mean, that just is going to happen. But Drake has the tools where it doesn't really. I mean, it's going to matter to some extent, but like he has the tools where it's like that creation should play.
And it's
a
not
matter of you got to get your scouting fucking eyes on for this type of stuff. Like, is this stuff going to play in the NFL? Well, it all looks like it will. That ball will get to that receiver just as quickly as it. Like, yeah, that should play.
He's able to play in muddy pockets. He's playing in muddy pockets, throwing the right people. Holy cow! He can make space when there's no space around him to get a throw off and throw it off platform.
And if and when
he translates,
if and when he throws the pick six to Tyreek Stevenson, and then all next week we're saying, "Ooh, what a big redemption game from Tyreek Stevenson." That's not going to take anything away from Drake May because at least he was trying some shit. And to bring it back to Caleb really quick, I want Caleb to pop on a little bit of Drake May game tape and because Caleb can do all that stuff too. I don't think he's quite as good from the pocket itself of creating downfield throws. He's good at it. I don't think he's quite Drake May. Just this is going back to
I think
to February for me. My scouting glasses.
I think so. Really quickly, I want to clarify there because
they're both very good at it, and he should.
They're both very good at it. I think Drake May has an edge when it comes to creating an off-platform throw where you don't have room for a platform, and Caleb is much better at creating an off-platform throw
where you're
on the move.
You have room to get it off his body. Yes,
and he's full speed. He can do it. So like they have different advantages, and they both can do the same thing good, right? The other thing good, but one of them is much better than the other thing, right?
Drake's better in a phone. Drake's like better in a phone booth.
Phone booth. Yep.
Yeah. All I have to say, I'm sick of doing this. We've been going on forever. The Patriots defense, by the way, we've gone over most of the stuff. I'd say maybe stay away from Christian Gonzalez. Rating mid this year, PFF grade wise, but he's a really talented guy. I'd probably stay away from him. The two best players besides Christian Gonzalez are probably the two edge rushers, Keon White, and to a lesser extent, Anthony Jennings. Keon White really kind of blown up a little bit this year. Real shame that we happen to have both of our offensive tackles and the number 4 offensive tackle hurt right now. And Braxton, I don't believe, is going to play. So we are a bit fucked there. We are going to run quick game. And we are going to keep their tendencies in mind, it would seem. Let's get our various coverage beaters out for the various coverages that they seem to run very frequently on every given down and distance. Seems like it's all there on tape. That said, I would like to get to predictions because this has been going on forever, and I think my wife is going to be very mad.
I don't know why we have to go back to the defense, but since we got that recap in real quick, we also know that their offense is only Drake May. Let's talk about predictions because that's really all we have to cover. Yeah.
Our run defense sucked. I'm sorry. Our run defense has sucked, and also Andrew Billings is out for the season, and that sucks. Andrew Billings is.
But also the addition of Kyler Gordon, who I think it should hopefully play into us, are going to be big additions to the run defense.
It should be a slight net positive, and it is Zach Pickens season, baby. It is time to make my hottest take of the hot takes come true. Let's go, baby.
Got a lot of work to do, but
a lot of work to do.
If Billings out, maybe it does hit because Billings is probably leading in pressures, but yeah, Dexter's been really good too. Anyway,
I got it with some Gervon was honestly maybe Darrell Taylor was too. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see. Moving on to predictions. So
let's do the same ones as last time to make it easier.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was gonna change it. I said 2017. Didn't know which way it'd break because I'm worried about the tackles. But I'm gonna lean Bears win 2017. It's basically a coin flip at this point. Who's gonna win by 3? Yeah, I just don't trust. I don't trust Waldron in this offense to figure out what to do without their offensive tackles, and the fact that leads into their edge rushers, and what that will lead to, and the lack of run game, and putting us in situations in which we're behind the sticks because we try to run the ball. One, we don't have. I mean, their run defense sucks ass, but we just don't have the linemen for it.
Yeah. The Patriots defense is bad. So I think even though Caleb's going to do stuff that frustrates us, still, I think we're going to come away pretty happy with Caleb's performance, at least not slightly depressed as we were the last 2 games. Burp. Through no, by sheer coincidence, and also because I'm so smart, I hit on the exact implied score that Vegas has. 23-16 Bears is my prediction. But I'm open to 23-13. We gave Drake May a lot of praise, but there's nothing around him, and we're praising him for a rookie. We're not really praising him as an NFL quarterback quite yet. So the defense could shut his ass down for sure.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I definitely. That's not out of the question at all. He's still a rookie. He's got no support, and there's a much better defense than he's faced yet. So even after the Cardinals loss.
Oh, one more point I want to point out, because this is something I thought of before the podcast, and I don't know how important it was, but I want to say it again because I just have to. If we go 3 and out or have a bad first drive, the Boo Birds are coming out, and that is going to be a whole new thing for Caleb. And it's going to get really bad because people really want to fire Eberflus. And I think they're kind of expecting that if they lose this game, Eberflus get fired. I don't think it's going to happen. But either way, but it's going to get really loud. So just point that out.
Yeah, I don't get to do my rant about how we're making the hot seat a little too hot, even though it just overreacted to games that probably broke the way we should have expected.
Everything's kind of been as expected so far. The optics aren't great.
Waldron's the only issue, man. That's the one thing that I would say was not expected. But yeah, sorry, go on.
Just the optics aren't great in some cases, but everything's kind of been as expected. The reason to fire Eberflus probably after the season is that he's just not one of the 32 best coaches in the league, and there are going to be better coaches available. We'll probably do that unless something really cool and exciting happens from here on out, which it might, because who knows? Be 5-4 in the first 9 games, and then maybe something cool will happen.
The only thing that I can really blame him for is probably most likely now getting the offensive coordinator hiring wrong twice. Outside of that, I mean, his game management's been about average if people actually pay attention to how bad some coaches' game management is.
Yeah, the vibes are a little off. I mean, I can't totally
do think
ignore that. And honestly, getting the offensive coordinator wrong possibly
it's a huge
twice
thing.
is disastrous. Like
It's a huge thing.
Disastrous. So I mean that's kind of it on its own. If you're not an offensive guy, you have to get it right. You have to get it right.
And that's that he will deserve to get fired just for that. I want to be clear here. I'm not trying to defend him, but I do think some of the other things are being overblown. There's, like we've talked about before, there have been multiple times where Dan Campbell has gone up and apologized for the position he's put his team in because he's made mistakes.
We're not going to be
Shanny tree.
This absolutely will not become the Eberflus defending podcast. That is not the point here. It is just, first of all, I don't want Caleb to go through that, honestly, in his first season.
We're not doing the team any favors.
Than the alternative. Just ride it out and see, do what you got to do after the season.
Exactly.
Unless it gets really, really bad. It's just not there yet. It just isn't. And maybe it'll get good, man. He certainly is a good defensive coach. I don't know.
Real quick,
can't get there yet.
Is there somebody we could hire as I just had this thought. Do you remember how last year Flus hired somebody as an analyst to help him with the defense? And that helped out a ton. Flus really did change up how his play calling was going. I forget who the person was. Name
Phil Snow.
Phil Snow, right? Can we help Waldron out? Is there someone we can grab off the streets? Why not do that? Bring in a offensive analyst, senior analyst. Try to get another voice in the room to help steer him in the correct way, because obviously the people in the room right now aren't.
You know who just got fired?
Oh God, no, fuck you. Fuck you. I'll throw all in the swear jar. Fuck you, dude.
Anyway, that's Adam.
And that was Kev. Thank you for sliding into Virginia's DMs.
Bye.